Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. In the sun-drenched hills of Los Angeles, where the Forrester family had built an empire on beauty and secrets, a single catastrophe was about to tear the delicate fabric of their lives apart. Taylor Hayes had always been a lady who could be both strong and vulnerable. As a famous psychiatrist, she had assisted countless individuals in navigating their deepest traumas, but her own heart was scarred from years of love, grief, and reinvention. Taylor, who had recently returned to the fold after a long absence, found herself lured into an unforeseen connection that defied logic and familial devotion. Deacon Sharp, the repentant bad boy with a past as twisted as the veins on a Forrester Creations gown, had become her confidant and secret lover. Their friendship began innocently enough, sessions that blurred lines, shared glances that lingered too long, but it rapidly grew into something neither could deny. Deacon's marriage to Sheila Carter was a tumultuous mix of redemption and relapse. Sheila, the renowned troublemaker with a history of violence and obsession, appeared to have turned a new leaf, but her grasp on Deacon never relaxed. Taylor was aware of the potential risks. Everybody in their circle did. Taylor's tough and protective daughter, STEFFY Forrester, has made her position abundantly known. "Stay away from him, Mom," STEFFY had cautioned during one furious exchange at the Cliff House, her eyes flashing with the same ferocity that marked her career as CEO of Forrester Creations. "Deacon is trouble. He's tied to Sheila, and that woman destroys everything she touches." STEFFY had even offered an ultimatum: select the family or risk losing access to Taylor's grandkids, the brightest lights in her life. But love, or whatever the attraction was, had a way of clouding judgment. Taylor and Deacon continued to meet in secret, stealing moments in obscure parts of the city, believing that their bond was worth the risk. The days leading up to the unthinkable were spent whispering promises and stealing kisses. Deacon would come up to Taylor's office with takeaway, his gruff charm undermining her professional stance. "You're the only one who sees the man I could be," he'd say quietly and earnestly. Taylor, with her warm smile and intelligent look, would answer by tracing his facial creases, reminding him that change was possible if he genuinely desired it. However, darkness lurked behind the romanticism. Sheila's doubts were rising. She'd noticed the late nights, the strange absences, and the slight whiff of another woman's perfume on Deacon's collar. In her twisted mind, loyalty was important, and treachery required money. Los Angeles's air felt heavier during those weeks, packed with unsaid threats. Taylor and Deacon reconnected on a fateful evening when the Pacific waves slammed against the shore near Deacon's restaurant Il Giardino. They had agreed that this would be their final goodbye, to fulfill STEFFY's desires and safeguard the fragile harmony. But passion has a way of overpowering good intentions. They gave in under the dark light of Taylor's living room, their embrace a mix of desperation and affection. "I love you, Taylor," Deacon whispered into her hair. "No matter what happens next." She gripped him harder, her heart suffering from the realization that their worlds were too different, too tied in previous misdeeds. They lay there afterward, exchanging gentle laughs and plans that would never come to fulfillment, and neither spotted the man hiding outside the window. Sheila had followed the clues. A discarded pizza box here, a mismatched boot print there. Her wrath was simmering, like a kettle about to boil over. The following morning was chaotic. Taylor failed to attend a scheduled meeting with Ridge Forrester, her ex-husband and the father of her children. Calls went unanswered. STEFFY, already agitated by her mother's resistance, drove to Taylor's house with a mix of rage and anxiety in her stomach. What she discovered rocked her world. Taylor sank on the floor, her face pallid and her breathing shallow. Paramedics raced in, but it was too late. The official cause was reported as heart failure, a sudden and tragic event that doctors blamed on stress and underlying issues. Those closest to the truth know better. Whispers circulated throughout the Forrester mansion and beyond, speculating on Sheila's involvement, a botched confrontation, poison placed into a drink, or a struggle that sparked the fatal attack. The specifics remained unclear, hidden beneath layers of denial and investigation, but the impact was swift and deep. Deacon was the first to collapse. Rich delivered the news to him at Il Giardino, amid the clatter of plates and the perfume of fresh basil. As he grabbed the edge of the bar, the color drained from his face, leaving his knuckles white. "No," he muttered, the single word bearing the weight of 1,000 regrets. Taylor had been his rock, the only person who believed in his salvation without demanding he forget his past. She was gone, and with her, the fragile optimism he had held on to. Deacon replayed their last night in his thoughts, recalling the warmth of her touch, the softness of her laughter, and the way she looked at him as if he were deserving of love. Guilt rushed over him like a tidal wave. If only he'd ended things sooner. If only he'd saved her from Sheila's anger. His marriage to Sheila dissolved in an instant. He confronted her at home, his voice harsh with accusation. "You did this. Your jealousy, your madness, it killed her." Sheila protested it with tears in her eyes, professing innocence, but the harm had been done already. Deacon went away, leaving the life he had worked so hard to rebuild. For days, Deacon roamed Los Angeles like a ghost. He avoided Forrester family gatherings, funeral arrangements, and sorrowful looks from old acquaintances. Instead, he sat alone on the beach, staring at the horizon where the sky met the sea, just like Taylor used to. Memories flooded him. Their first real conversation during one of her sessions, when she challenged his self-destructive patterns, the night they danced awkwardly in her kitchen to an old song on the radio, and the quiet confessions in which he admitted that losing Hope's trust had nearly broken him, and Taylor gently guided him back toward light. "Death changes everything," he said to the waves one evening, his voice shaking. Taylor's death forced him to confront the true man he was, not the attractive restaurateur or the beloved husband, but a damaged soul trapped in cycles of pain. He resolved to commemorate her memory by finally breaking free from Sheila for good, becoming the parent Hope deserved, and pursuing the inner peace Taylor had always preached. But the emptiness remained. Nights were the most difficult since silence accentuated her lack of voice. Deacon knew he would never be the same again. A piece of his heart had died with Taylor, leaving a scar that time may smooth but never erase. Steffi Forrester's transition was also seismic, but it manifested differently. Steffi, the Forrester clan's strong-willed matriarch, has always positioned herself as the protector. She protected her children, Kelly and Hayes, from the family's never-ending troubles. She fought for the corporation against opponents, such as the Logans. And she had frantically attempted to save her mother from what she viewed as a disastrous error. Taylor's death tipped Steffi's world upside down. Steffi stood tall alongside her father Ridge and brother Thomas at the funeral, which took place in a calm courtyard overlooking the city, with white flowers pouring everywhere. Her exterior was calm, but inside, a maelstrom raged. Tears ran down her cheeks as she delivered a eulogy about Taylor's enduring love, knowledge, and ability to heal so many people, including Steffi herself, following her own brush with peril. Steffi was consumed by guilt. She recited the ultimatum she had given her mother, the harsh words spoken in the heat of the dispute. "I pushed her away," she confessed to Finn, her husband, one restless night while lying in bed at the Cliff House. "If I hadn't threatened to cut her off from the kids, maybe she would have listened. Maybe she wouldn't have been so stressed." Finn hugged her close, reminding her that Taylor had made her own decisions, but Steffi couldn't get past the what-ifs. Taylor's death heightened Steffi's fears about loss. She had previously endured gunshots, kidnappings, and betrayals. Losing her mother felt like the final blow. It transformed her perspective on relationships. Steffi, who had previously been quick to condemn others' romantic relationships, particularly those involving Deacon, now approaches them with caution and empathy. In a rare moment of solidarity, she reached out to Hope, Deacon's daughter, and acknowledged their common sadness, despite their convoluted relationship. Steffi's leadership at Forrester Creations changed during the next few weeks. She returned to work with zeal, creating designs that reflected Taylor's beauty and perseverance. But in private, she sought therapy, not as the confident CEO, but as a bereaved daughter. Sessions brought hidden emotions to the surface. Childhood recollections of Taylor's warmth, the anguish of her absences during previous breaks from the show, and the joy of watching her mother return stronger each time. Taylor's death also helped to heal certain family rifts. Ridge and Steffi found themselves relying on them other more, their previous feuds with Brooke dissolving in the face of common grief. Even Thomas, the difficult brother, shown a kinder side, assisting Steffi with the children so she could process her grief. In the aftermath, Deacon and Steffi's paths would eventually intersect. At first, the interactions were hostile, with unstated blame. Steffi saw Deacon as the source of her mother's fragility, the man whose dangerous appeal had pulled Taylor into Sheila's sights. Meanwhile, Deacon harbored his own resentment, believing Steffi's ultimatum had forced Taylor into hiding. After the lunch rush, they sat across from each other at Il Giardino, sipping on untouched cups of coffee. "She loved you," Steffi replied quietly, her voice firm but her eyes red. "In her own way, she believed in you," Deacon said, swallowing hard. "And I let her down. We both did, but in different ways." That conversation was a watershed moment. There was no huge forgiveness expressed, but a shaky understanding emerged. They told anecdotes about Taylor, including how she laughed at poor jokes, her desire to serve people, and her quiet resilience in the face of illness and sadness. In order to memorialize her, they formed an unusual alliance. Deacon began working at a local counseling facility after being inspired by Taylor's work, while Steffi lobbied for increased mental health awareness in their social group. The ripple effects stretched far beyond the immediate household. Hope Logan struggled with her father's sadness, wondering her own complex feelings for Taylor. Rich reflected on his lifelong dance with Taylor, his children's mother, and wondered if he had appreciated her enough. Even Sheila, who was isolated and under suspicion, faced the effects of her alleged activities, her world shrinking as people removed themselves. The controversy was talked about among the elite of Los Angeles, but those who adored Taylor remained focused on her legacy. She had made a difference in people's lives as a doctor, a mother, and a friend, and her impact grew even after she died. The changes in Deacon and Steffi become more pronounced with time. Deacon plunged himself into recovery with zeal he had never shown before, attending meetings where he openly discussed grief and salvation. He bonded with Hope in a better way, cooking family meals and listening without defensiveness. Taylor's memory became his guiding beacon, and he even kept a small photo of her in his wallet as a reminder to follow better routes. "She taught me that second chances aren't given. They're earned every day," he told a companion one evening, his voice calm but confident. The once roguish Deacon emerged more introspective, less ready to charm his way out of difficulty, eternally changed by the woman who recognized his promise and paid the ultimate price for believing in it. Steffi, for her part, embraced vulnerability in ways she had avoided. She spent more time with her children and told them stories of their grandmother's strength and compassion. Her marriage to Finn grew stronger as she allowed herself to really rely on him, rather than pretending to have unshakable strength. At work, she educated younger designers in Taylor's sympathetic manner, building a creative atmosphere that emphasized emotional well-being as much as invention. The ultimatum she previously used as a weapon became a lesson in balance, protecting family without driving them away. Steffi's fierce temper cooled into a more measured resolve. She still battled for what was important, but with a veneer of grace gained through suffering. "Mom's gone, but she's everywhere," Steffi said during a quiet time in the family home, touching a framed photo of Taylor. "In the way we love, in the way we forgive." Deacon and Steffi's mutual evolution drew them back together on occasion. They both spoke at a mental health charity event held in Taylor's name. Deacon's statements were emotional and humble, and he credited Taylor with showing him the power of unconditional support. Steffi's were elegant and genuine, honoring her mother's influence throughout generations. They then exchanged a quick hug, not out of camaraderie, but because they were both survivors of loss. "She'd be proud of you," Steffi remarked softly. Deacon responded, "Of you, too. She always was." It was during this interaction when the changes became clear. Taylor's death did not kill them. Rather, it reforged them, removing illusions and revealing deeper stores of resilience, empathy, and purpose. The metropolis of Los Angeles kept its glittering pace. Fashions premiered, scandals broke out, relationships bloomed and faded, but nothing would ever be the same for Deacon Sharp and Steffi Forrester. The woman who had guided so many people through their darkest times had, in her departure, illuminated paths for recovery in those she left behind. Deacon walked taller, free of old chains and determined to a life of peaceful integrity. Steffi led with an open heart, blending strength and compassion in ways that reflected her mother's spirit. Their lives, previously parallel lines in a turbulent family narrative, were now permanently marked by loss and transformation. Taylor Hayes may have left this world, but her spirit lingered in every decision they made, every kindness offered, and every moment spent in thankfulness. Finally, her death redefined Deacon and Steffi, demonstrating that even in the depths of grief, love and growth can emerge stronger than before. The Forrester heritage lived on, laced with strands of love and anguish, but Taylor's absence acted as a continual reminder. Family dinners at the mansion felt completed without her smart remarks. Holidays evoked an additional depth of remembrance. However, as time worked its gentle tapestry, smiles reappeared with tears. Deacon found solace in minor gestures, such as nurturing a tiny garden Taylor used to adore and making food she enjoyed. Steffi found solace by journaling, writing messages to her mother that she kept private, and spilling out sentiments she wished she had expressed sooner. Their respective journeys occasionally touched in small, important ways: a nod of recognition at a Forrester event, a shared memory communicated over coffee, or a tacit understanding that connected them via the woman they both adored. The shift was felt in broader circles as well. Brooke Logan, a longtime opponent in love triangles, expressed genuine condolences, her own experience with loss generating unforeseen connections. The patriarch, Eric Forrester, mused on the loss of yet another dynamic soul in his orbit, increasing his commitment to cherish his remaining family. Even the younger generation, Thomas, RJ, and the grandchildren, absorbed the lesson that life is short, encouraging them to pursue bigger aspirations and engage in nicer interactions. Taylor's psychiatric insights lived on through Steffi's activism, possibly spawning a new program at Forrester or a scholarship in her honor. Deacon's restaurant paid tribute in a discreet way, with a special menu item named for her, a soothing dish that regulars connect with warmth and second chances. Of course, challenges continued. Sheila's shadow hovered over legal investigations and public speculation, pushing Deacon to negotiate scrutiny while re-establishing trust. Steffi faced corporate struggles and emotional uncertainties, questioning whether her protectiveness had gone too far. But each challenge was addressed with the quiet strength Taylor had demonstrated. Deacon sought help from support groups, breaking out from the seclusion that had once defined him. Steffi prioritized therapy sessions, showing her children that getting help was a sign of wisdom, not weakness. Taylor's influence shined greatest in these practices, demonstrating that her life's work continued after she died. As the seasons changed in Los Angeles, from hot summers to moderate winters, Deacon and Steffi grew into their mature selves. Deacon dated sparingly, if at all, preferring self-improvement over transient loves. He mended fences with hope, becoming a consistent presence in her life and even helping her deal with her own personal entanglements in healthy ways. Steffi excelled as a mother and executive, and her designs demonstrated a maturity that combined enthusiasm and mindfulness. Their paths would eventually diverge as new dramas developed in the ever-dramatic world of Bold and the Beautiful, but Taylor's death would remain a defining chapter. It showed them that love, even when confusing and forbidden, has transformational power. It demonstrated how sadness may form unbreakable relationships or emphasize important limits. Most importantly, it reminded them, and everyone who watched their stories unfold, that every end contains the seed of a new beginning. In quiet moments, when the city lights twinkled beneath the hills, Deacon would raise a glass to the heavens and thank the woman who had changed him. Steffi would cuddle her children into bed and deliver a bedtime story laden with Taylor's wisdom, ensuring her mother's spirit lived on. They carried on a heritage of perseverance by unintentionally aligning in purpose. Taylor's death had changed Deacon and Steffi's lives forever, not by shattering them, but by exposing the depths of their potential for love, forgiveness, and regeneration. In the broad tapestry of their lives, her chapter ended with sadness, but opened the door to significant, long-term growth, a monument to the enduring impact one remarkable lady might have on those who were fortunate enough to know her. The news hits like a thunderclap, leaving everyone reeling from the unthinkable loss. Taylor's death does more than just leave a gap. It sends shockwaves through the lives of those who loved her the most, particularly Deacon and Steffi. Deacon finds the weight of remorse and regret almost overwhelming. He goes over every moment, every decision, wondering whether anything could have been done differently. The history he attempted to escape suddenly feels closer than ever, and this tragedy compels him to confront who he truly is. Steffi, on the other hand, is dealing with heartbreak unlike any she has ever experienced. Losing her mother shatters her sense of stability, leaving her torn between sadness and rage. She clings to memories, desperate to maintain Taylor's strength, wisdom, and love, but the agony pulls her down. Every element of her existence reminds her of what she's lost, and moving ahead seems impossible. As Deacon and Steffi work through their sorrow, their paths begin to intersect in unexpected ways. Old tensions reemerge, but so are moments of insight neither of them expected. Taylor's absence causes them to confront the facts they've long ignored. For Deacon, it's all about redemption and proving that he can overcome his past. For Steffi, it's about resilience, finding a way to honor her mother's legacy without drowning in grief. However, healing does not come easily. Secrets threaten to surface, and emotions are running high. Every interaction bears the weight of what has been lost and what could still be recovered. The question isn't simply how they'll cope. It's whether this tragedy will eventually separate them or bring them together in unexpected ways. As the dust settles, one thing becomes clear. Taylor's death isn't just the end. It's the start of a shift that will forever alter Deacon and Steffi. And just when it appears that the story can't get any stranger, a bombshell revelation lurks on the horizon, one that could alter everything they thought they knew and leave viewers wondering what happened.